Hello and welcome back to Project Berlingo. I apologise if some of these videos get messed up between starting a new video and ending a one, etc, etc. I'm just trying to get as much content in as I can while I'm quiet, but not people coming in and I've got the doors closed. So, anyways, the previous video, the van was getting ready for MOT. Good news is, I've just been and done the MOT, and obviously I knew it was going to be good anyway because I sorted it, so there we go. Really, the only advisory on it was the brake pipes. I've already replaced them, as you've seen in the previous video, but they were obviously covered. I've done the whole underbody in like grease and stuff like that, so you've just got to cover your arse and put down that they're covered, even though the areas of concern I've replaced and all the rest of the pipes are actually in good nick. And just the oil leak, which was seen underneath on the the drive shaft oil seal on the gearbox. But as I've said on my previous video, I put in a gearbox oil leak, like a seal preventative stuff, and that obviously takes a couple of 100 miles to get in and swell seals up a bit to stop them leaking. So naturally, the van's not being used at all, really, bar a couple of mile journey. So that's time to work. It's very, very minor, but again, I'd sooner just keep everything correct. Obviously, I test my own vehicle the same as what I would somebody else's, you know, 'cause at the end of the day, you can't give yourself any kind of benefits of the doubt, because it's my kids that's going to be in the car. And a lot of people say, oh, you'll just pass your own car, wink, wink. Nah, definitely not. Never have, never will, because at the end of the day, I value my family more than anybody else's, you know what I mean? It's my family, so why would I do anything to jeopardise my safety? So my vehicles get tested exactly the same as anybody else's, no special treatment given. So, as we've seen, nice new test on there, 25th the 11th, 2022. I'm just covering up the chassis number and test numbers and stuff like that, just for any kind of Data Protection Act. And plus, I don't know who's watching this, so at the end of the day, it's not hard to get a VIN number of a vehicle that on clear display, but to be quite honest, I've limited trust for what goes on the internet. So that's that done. I'm just going to do a quick little video, a few things if I get time, because I need to get away shortly. I've just noticed a little scab up here on the roof, where there's been some kind of roof rack or something fitted. So what I'm going to do with that first is just treat it. I keep going on about this Hammerite Cure Rust, and people might not know what I'm on about. This is it here, Hammerite Cure Rust. It just looks like milk. I'll just pour a little bit into the container. In fact, I'm not, because I only need to dip the brush into this, so it's just like white. If you can see that. It just looks like milk, basically. So what you do is, I'm trying to do this one-handed. This brush is pathetic, I'm sorry, but it's just about to go in the bin. But it's all I need for this, just a quick little dip on the brush. See that there, white? And you just go on, and what it does is it just chemically converts. I'm trying to do this while it's looking through the camera, so it's quite difficult. You just go around, make sure you get all the rust, and obviously you can see it's going on like white. Get round the edge. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to redo this, like, when I'm having to look through. If I don't look through the camera moves away. So you just put that on there, you can see it's already starting to turn purple and black. Just go right round the edge, a little bit up there, and just leave that to dry. There we go. Just leave that to dry, and it goes from like dark purple to black. And then when it turns black, it's dry. And then all you need to do after that is, obviously, I'm just going to just use some white touch-up pen to just to make it match in a bit. But what this does, in case people don't know, it chemically converts, basically transforms rust to a stable surface in 15 minutes. Basically, without getting too technical, rust spreads, and it carries on eating into the metal, which obviously will end off with a hole and needing welding. So what this does, it just turns it into a stable area, which means the rust won't progress or get worse. Therefore, you're kind of nipping it in the bud. It's kind of like using weed killer, like you're nipping it in the bud, you're stopping it. Certainly not going to make it disappear, but it stops it from getting any worse. So the best thing to do is buy a little bottle of this, and it lasts for ages. I mean, crikey, a bottle this size, what mil is this? 250 mil has just lasted me, oh God, years. And it never goes off. You just don't do what I've just done there. Is just because I had to just dip the brush in once, but you'd never ever dip it back in again, because then it'll start the stuff off to reacting. So what I tend to do is I just keep a little pot or you just use the lid and you just, when you come back, you dab it in to do bigger areas. Brilliant stuff, that, and I will 100% back it up, because I used to have an Escort van, a white one like this, full of scabs, and I scraped the scabs down like that, put the cure rust on, put a little dot of white paint on. 4 or 5 years later, none of this, like, as you know, this stuff coming through. Great, it really does work a treat. So we'll go and have a look at it there. See, it's just starting to do its magic. I'll come back to you when it's dry, and all I'm going to do is, it ain't going to look pretty, just going to put some white paint on, and it just stops it getting any worse. Bit of a balls up before. I took the van over, because I was a slow puncher on the one rim, if you noticed I had 3 done, and one of the flipping wheel studs snapped in the flange. So I've had to take one out to go and try and get a replacement. And next week when I get time, I'm going to drill it out. Obviously, and I'm going to get a replacement, but I've had to take the 3rd one out to go and source a handful of second-hand old wheel studs. So there we go. There's a job to sort next week. Great. And I've just noticed a few little errors on my behalf. Naturally, when I had the van on the lift with the door open, you can only open it so far. It's just a little bit of black paint I've missed here. Unfortunately, I've run out of the paint that I used. So, I've got some Jaguar black touch-up pen here. It'll do. Just obviously, I couldn't open the door no more, and I couldn't get this bit. And when you've got all the posts of the lift in the way, so I'll touch that little bit in with some Jaguar black paint. What else am I going to do? I think that was a little... Oh, I painted this. I think I've already been through this, and I've got rid of that horrible England badge. What did I do down here? There was something... Oh, yeah, there's a couple of little bits there where I'm going to get in. And I think I've done the same at this side. I have, because I couldn't get under the door. Just going to do that. Touch that in with some black paint. And I might have a go at this unit inside. But I want to get away because there's a storm coming in tonight. Bearing in mind this is today. This is Friday. Can't remember what the date is. But I might have a go at doing that. I might just pull it apart because it's stopping in the garage over the weekend, so I can do it next week. But like I've said, next week, EGR blank, air filter, fuel filter. And just in case you haven't seen a fuel filter for a DV6, there's the wheel trim. Obviously an air filter is just pretty standard on these. Pain in the arse to do if you've got a Picasso mind. They're a white pain. In these, they're no bother. There's again, man quality air filter. It'll probably have the gauze stuff on the back of it, has it? Yeah, it's what you call a pre-filter, and they always get clogged up, and cheap filters don't have them on. And the fuel filter, I prefer Bosch for some reason for these, because what you've got to do when you remove them is remove a little like heating element and water sensor. And I find on the man filters, I'll show you exactly what it is on here. So again, put a Bosch unit, there's the numbers if anybody want it. And it's this here, there's a little tab there, this thing, that, there. What you've got to do is, I'll show you when I actually do it, is slide a sensor unit into here. And they are just the worst pathetic idea I've come across, because you'll end up snapping this or damaging the unit that you've got to get direct from Citroen and Peugeot. But again, the one that's on actually does look new, and there's a new seal. The one that's on does look new, and I apologise on this one. There's quite a very big popular channel that I watch who are sponsored by Comline. It's got a Comline filter on, but I've not had very good experiences, and I'm not just putting this on Comline, I'm putting this along all of the aftermarket brands, especially with these newer diesel engines. If you fit an aftermarket filter, it can cause serious running problems. And when you look on, I haven't got the bonnet open, the injectors in this will probably be Bosch, the high pressure fuel pump will be Bosch, so naturally, what's the sensible thing to do? Fit a Bosch filter. So I'm not pulling Comline to bits as such, but if I see anything that isn't OE, even on a cheap old van, I won't fit it. It ain't going on. And what you find is with these sealed units, there's a lot of little valves and pipes here. There's one pipe there, and obviously the other pipe goes onto the sensor, which goes into that red area there. And as you can imagine, the inside network of this, what you can't see, obviously there's a filter element in it, there's little plugs, I mean, even though they're blanked off. If you've got a one that isn't to OE spec, you can't see inside. There'll be little channels and pipes and gullies and stuff like that. If you fit aftermarket, you just don't know what's going on in there, and it can cause all sorts of problems for your injectors and your high pressure fuel pump and running issues and stuff like that. So again, I think that only cost us £15 for argument's sake. And a cheap one would probably be like a tenner. So for the sake of a fiver, it's not even, to be honest, I'm being quite lenient there. It's probably even less than that. Normally it's a few quid. So yeah, so that's that ready to go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to wait for that cure rust to go off. I'll touch that in. I'm going to go around with the black to just do them bits, and I might start pulling that little centre console back. So I'll catch you in a bit when I'm a bit further ahead. Hello and welcome back. I've just realised the phone was zoomed in for some reason, so apologies if my previous video was a bit off. Like I've said, excuse the mess of the van. I am actually going to get the full citrus wash on it to clean it up. I've just been on with a few jobs like I mentioned previously, like down here where there was a bit of paint mist. I've just touched it in with some black touch-up pen, probably not even the same colour, but it does. Say hello to Harvey. As you know on my channel, he's going to get a shock. He's 8 and we're getting another Springer Spaniel puppy on Christmas Eve. So you're going to be getting a shock, aren't you? So that's why I've been chopping and changing my cars, because he sits in this one every day. Big 6-foot cage in there. But while the puppy's just little, I want to keep them separate. So obviously he'll go in there, and I'll just leave this at work through the week, and the puppy can stay in the back of this one, or the Mondeo, either or. So anyways, been around, and again, just touched in there, just was a little bit, as you've seen. And where else was there? I was a little bit where I had missed down here on that, which I've touched in. There was also a bit of paint knocked off here. I've just touched that in with the white, just to stop any corrosion. Let's have a look around here. Let's have a look. And the bit on the roof, like I've mentioned, we'll put the cure rust on, and I've just gone around it with a white paint. To be honest, this is going to be left over the weekend, so sorry somebody with a Subaru with a loud exhaust there. Anybody who thinks that they sound good, with a one without a turbo on, it just sounds like a misfire in 3-cylinder Corsa. Horrible. Anyways, that's that. So there we go. I've just touched it in. It's nothing special. It needs another coat done, but the main thing is the rust's at bay, and it just keeps the weather off it. I'll give it another coat after the weekend. Oh, and while I was on with the black touch-up pen, you might have noticed on the wipers there was a little bit of rust on them, like most wiper blades are. I've just touched it in, and it ain't perfect by far. One other fault that I've found with it, which I was going back to my memory of all the old Citroen Picassos and stuff that I've owned. This thing's got 1, not including the petrol cap, 2, 3, 4 locking barrels. And every single one of them is seized, and you'll just end up snapping the key. This one went a little bit. It did trigger the locking, but then it started to spin. That one's seized. This one's well seized at the back here. And the driver's one's seized. So what happens with these is when you lock them, we are sent with your remote fob. If your remote fob stops working or goes flat, you cannot unlock this van. Obviously, if the remote is the only way you can get in and out. So obviously, the second thing you would do would be go with the key, wouldn't you, and try it. Every single one of them seized. Back one, I'm not even putting it in. It's that dodgy. It could damage the key. Passengers, nothing. But this one, this is the other thing they do, that either seize or they spin. Nothing happens. But that, sorry, actually, that was me. I caught that button. So, what I'm going, the only option other than getting another key, because I've only got one key with this van, but I've been told these keys are very expensive. I might, for £60, get a manual key which will start the engine. But the main issue here is if you'll have it locked and this remote stops working, or you lose it or you break it, you cannot get into this van without causing damage. So what you can get on eBay, which I've used before in the past, are lock barrels for these, and they're all the same for Citroen Picassos, I think the Peugeot 406, the Peugeot Partner, I don't know, name a few Citroens of the time, of this era, like this era. What you can get is a lock barrel kit, either just one lock barrel with a random key, or 2 lock barrels, or you could, if you wanted to, probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, the whole 4 of them for next to nothing, but it won't be the matching key to the driver's one. But all you need to do really is just fit another barrel to either just any one of the doors so you can physically get into it. Because I was surprised there when I turned the lock in the sliding door. Not that time, actually, it was before off camera. It did actually trigger the locking. So whichever is the easiest. What I don't want to be doing is changing 4 barrels, ripping all the door cards off, sliding door panel, the back door panel. I only need 1, maybe 2. So all you would do is just fit them. There'll be a different key to your ignition key, but then just attach a separate key to your key ring. So like I said, if this stops working, you've got a plan B of just being able to open it with the lock, obviously with a working locking barrel. I remember these a few years ago. I can't remember if they're a chew or not, but since they're above the door level, the door card level, they're here. I think all you do is you just take this grommet off, and I think there's like a little screw in there, and I think they just pop out. Don't know 100%, but I'll try. If that's the case, I'll just get a double barrel kit, and change both front doors. Or I don't know, if a kit of 4 comes cheap enough, I might just do them all, because this back one here is nice and easy, just behind there. Sliding door I'm not sure of. You've got to kind of work with the door shut. But anyways, that's just something else I'm going to be dealing with, just to update you on the video. So now I'm going to move on to the interior. But I'm going to stop this video here, and I'm just going to do the repairing the clock as a separate video, because it's a common fault on these Citroen and Peugeots, and I'll just upload that as a separate video for other people who haven't got a Berlingo to look up on it. Sorry, that was an Amazon delivery there. Carbon monoxide detector. That's a new one for in the house. I might do a video on that. Very important. People forget about the silent killer. So I might do a separate video. Anyways, that's why I had to stop the video. So yeah, I'm going to stop this one here and do a separate one on doing the lights on the clock. So I'll start up again in a minute. So thank you very much for watching. Remember, if you enjoy these videos, like it, leave a comment. I'm quite happy to reply. Or simply press the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it helps me loads. And you never know, when I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm not far off, I might start getting some sponsorships, or asked to do any reviews, and might make a couple of quid out of it. I don't know. I'm not that experienced, but shout with your friends. The more subscribers I get, the better. Thanks for watching. Bye.